Alright, hello everybody. Another classical game. Rubinstein versus Alekhine from 1926. So we go and start with the d4. Alekhine goes with knight f6 and then knight f3. And Alekhine plays e6. And now we go into a much more common opening nowadays. Probably not so common back in the day. Bishop f4, and maybe we'll see a London. Oh, Alekhine sets up with Queen's Indian setup is set up here. Bianchi goes the light squared bishop, and here Rubinstein goes with the kind of a funky h3 in probably wants to retain the bishop in some case of a knight h5. He could play e3 here, and this is not really a threat yet with a bishop g5 coming up, and this is not even good. This is decent, but white has even better move, knight e5 here, unleashing here. And the point is that if we take here, we are not gonna take here, but instead the real point of the move is to do a little forkage here. Things will escalate. Well, in the game we see h3, bishop b7, knight bd2, and then Alekhine comes up with the interesting idea, bishop d6. So why, of course white doesn't have to take it, he could play e3 here and go for some kind of a setup here with them out of control on e5, but he takes here. And why would you allow your pawns to get doubled? Well, one thing is that you have a lot of central pawns. They're maybe not the most flexible in going forward, but this could go someday here, or d5 could happen, and then if white ever undermines that, then we have another pawn there to boot. And the pawn kind of covers some knight jumps around here well too. And it's not vulnerable in a way that white can only attack it like easily once, and it's easy to cover with a queen c7 or queen e7 at the moment. No worries there. Oh shoot, I jumped off quite a lot of head. Well, takes happened, takes happened, and white played e3. Can't easily get d4 in, which would probably be nice, but takes a while to set it up. And black can at any moment play d5 and say no. A really big no. They have a really good grip on e4 all the time anyways with the Bianco here. Well, castles. White played here. Could also go here in a little quest to have a better control of the knight jumps here. But black can always like play d5 and jump the knight there anyhows. So we go into a little more humble bishop e2. And Alekhine plays d5 anyhow. He wants to jump the knight there, but he wants to take with the pawn instead of a bishop. Like he could have gone here instantly, but well, white doesn't have to take it, but let's say he takes it and takes it, and this, even though the bishop remains free, it's not so threatening at the moment. Like white is very harmonious and solid here, and nothing is threatening his position. In this way, well, white castled, black played knight c6 first, and white stopped any jumps around there and solidified the center. But point is that eventually black jumps here, and he wants to take with the pawn, like he did in a game. And then the pawn is gonna kick out this guy out of here, which is usually a good defender of the king side. It's a bit of a thorn in our side here. Well, white went here. It's the pawn. Black defends it with f5 and opens up the rook lifts and still keeps well, the bishop is kind of hampered down by the e4. It's not the most active thing in the world, but it supports the center in a way. But of course, it's not the ideal piece for sure. Well, white is trying to make it a pretty good. Here he plays f4, which is quite questionable in a way that it does the h3 already weakened g3, and this makes the dark squares quite weak. He could have tried f3 in a way, but black can probably force the f4 in after a queen g5 hitting the pawn here, and there's no good way of defending it in another way than pushing the f4 anyways. And well, at least we got this move and black got this move, and it's white's move too again, so no, still same problems exist on the king side here. Of course, white could have tried to live without weakening anything here with, I don't know, maybe start with the queen e1 or something first, in a way that you preemptively defend them, or like a x-ray defend the e3 in the future. Still probably planning of going with the f3 maybe, because black is definitely gonna attack this way, and it's very hard to defend the king side with if we don't get any kind of a freedom here. Well, f4 happened in the game, and black goes blasting g5. Let's attack on the g file. I mean, of course, white could take it, but then this comes here with tempo already on the g file and hits the pawn. And the pawn is kind of a hard thing to actually defend anymore. If you go this side, you get hit by the pawn, and the rook blocks are gonna probably get hit by a knight here or there, and then horrible. So white doesn't want to bring the queen into the game. Plays knight c4, eyeing e5, maybe d6, harass this guy here. This would probably be a possibility for black here, trying to do something with this bishop at the moment, for sure. Instead, Alekhine doesn't care. Lets the bishop be there. Takes care of this jump here, forces white to go here. I mean, of course, he could go backwards, but that seems a little bit of a sadness for the knight there. At least we trade the knight off. Well, black says yes. White takes with the d pawn. If you take with f pawn, then these guys are pretty unleashed here, but black plays king h8, readying the rook to g file this way now that this rook lift is covered. And also like ducks the king out of the way. Not that there was any checks to begin with happening at the moment. White plays a4. They probably should have tried g3 at some point here or earlier even. Try to build some kind of a wallish situation here. Maybe hide the king on h2 and try to use the g file in defense. a4. Well, assuming it does something, it's not so obvious that that's going to be useful. While black is just attacking your king. Okay, queen d2. Connects the rooks. Kind of looks on g2. Well, black opens the things up here. This is also possible, but then queen h4, it's there. And starts to, well, rook g2 sacks already become huge threats here. Like king h there, you can probably just take it, and this won't end up well. You have to probably block with the bishop to avoid the instant mates, and this does not look like it's gonna hold. Rook will come, and the king is alone, can't even escape. Yeah, won't end up. Well, white took with the rook in hopes that this is some kind of a blockade going on here, but it's not doing anything about them. G-file. Black goes in, threatens mate. At least the pawns are kind of blockaded in a way that they are not unleashing the bishop at the moment. Well, bishop f1 defends the mate. Black goes. This is a really weak square that black has access to now. After the h3 f4, he goes here, threatens h3. White says no, sidesteps the pin. So this is now defended again. And then black does little back and forth maneuvering. Queen g7 hits this pawn and distracts the white queen to d4 of this pawn here. And then the bishop that has been completely out of the play suddenly becomes a star and goes straight off the defender of the mate. Obviously, if you take, you get checkmated on g2. Pop, pop. So white plays rook f2, defends here. Black again does a little maneuvering here. Queen g3 hits the rook, so no time to take the bishop anymore, or still. And also it does look here, so there's no time to play queen d2 either to defend the rook, so rook has to go out of the way. Rook c2, then black finally chops here, white chops back, everything seems to be defended. Then black does a little nice maneuver here, rook c8, aiming at c4, winning a pawn here. But more to the point, not only just like white defended the c4, but main point of the move is just to get the rooks doubled in a little speedier way. White defends the pawn here, and then he does defend this pawn in a way that now the queen is at least free to move. Nothing threatening yet. Well, Alekhine has basically built the Alekhine's gun, but the problem is that this guy should be at the back. It's not so good in the front where we can't take it, because white just takes it, and if it doesn't lead into a mate, it's no good. So, rook g6. We are maybe threatening rook h6, pop, checkmate. White goes queen b4, rook queen d1 here. This already is too late because we can take it and this guy's pinned. This way at least you kind of cover the mate and this one here, so I don't know, maybe we now do the reroute here, but this would have been a sturdier defense for sure. Kind of seeing that everything is kind of covered. In a game, white queen goes a little sidetracked here. He's thinking of going like here and some counterplay, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Well, Alekhine goes with their plan, rook h6. And there is now nothing to be done about it. Like if you go here, we take there with the queen or the rook, either way. So white plays h4, is content that the pawn is a goner. Well, this would be fine. White can black can easily take here and is still a lot better here. It's not gonna end up in an instant mate though, but for instance f4 looks very promising, threatening f3s, and if you take with a passed pawn, we still have the attack. We are maybe threatening some checks around here and there or somewhere, and white has extra pawn, or black has an extra pawn and attack here. Instead, Alekhine is not content with taking that pawn and going that way. He does use this move as a way to switcheroo his battery in a way. Queen goes to the back. We want to bang there. Well, white opens up the queen to defend back and unleashes on the black center that has been really solid. Well, how could you not be with the pawn diamond there? Well, black is instantly killing the game there. Pop, pop, and then all kind of mates for to follow. So white comes there, defends them. G2, rook G3, comes with ideas of like going here and then entering through this square here. And obviously white cannot never take the rook check because of the mates on G1. Here probably sturdier would have been C takes D, rook H3, king runs away, queen comes in. Or actually probably for black easiest is just to solidify the center situation here first and then go in. It's even cleaner. Here white should probably try to mix things up with this, but it's still black who will win. Well, no, not instantly win, but is much better in these lines. Let's say you make some room for the king to run away. Like if you take here, you're instantly gonna die to these checks here. Peck, puck, puck. So white has to make some room here and then some rook c8. This is still pinned, so we can't take it, and this threatens some kind of a maybe rook c1s and then we win the queen, for instance. But this would be a lot like lot harder to win. These do win, but they are not as clean as they could be. For instance, wins, but it's a murky line that's so hard to miss, or easy to miss. Well, too bad for Rubinstein. He chose the worst move here and just missed the entire point that after here he kind of forgot. And black just took here and then it was over. Here he resigned. There's nothing you can do about it. Of course, taking is a mate and this is a big threat and I'm gonna mate to follow or pick up the queen and there's nothing to be done. All right, so that was interesting example of like we used few weaknesses in the enemy camp, opened up king side for a pretty clean attack there. Maybe there was better ways to defend there, but it's never easy to defend. But also kind of funny how the bishop that looked terrible kind of turned into a pretty good asset in the end. Anyways, thanks for watching and until next time. Ciao.